You teach her that your attention is cheap and readily available. By leading your own life with purpose, you become a magnet. Your energy becomes the prize. The truth, if a woman is genuinely interested, she will show up and meet your effort. Her actions are your answer. Your job is not to convince her, but to discern if she is worth your time. 3. Never prematurely reveal your depths. In the rush of a new connection, it's tempting to share your entire life story, your childhood wounds, your exes, your deepest fears and dreams, all in the first few weeks. This feels like intimacy, but it's often emotional dumping. The smart man's approach, he understands that true intimacy is a slow, strategic reveal, like turning pages in a compelling book. He lets her earn his story through her consistency, trustworthiness, and curiosity. The psychology, oversharing too soon creates two problems: it removes all mystery, and it can create emotional pressure, turning you from a potential partner into an emotional liability. It places a burden on a connection that hasn't yet been built to bear it. The power of patience. By
Have you ever been in a
of
crowded room and
gradually,
felt completely
you give her
alone?
the space to wonder.
For
to
most of
inquire,
us, it's a
and to lean
fleeting,
in.
unsettling feeling.
The stories you tell become
But
more
imagine
valuable
if that
because
was
they
the
were
backdrop
earned,
of your
not
entire
freely
childhood.
given. 4.
Not the sharp
Never
sting
try
of a
to
slap,
fix her.
nor the cruel bite of a
Your
shouted
instinct
word,
to be her
but
hero,
the slow,
to solve her
silent
problems
erosion
and
of your
heal her
sense
old
of self
wounds
that comes from
is a
simply
noble
being
one at its core.
overlooked.
But in the
This is
context
the
of a
reality for
romantic
the ignored
dynamic,
child.
it is a fatal error.
Their trauma is not
The
written in
smart
bruises,
man's approach,
but in the
he
invisible
offers
ink
a
of quiet
supportive space,
desperation,
not
a story
solutions.
etched into the very
He
architecture of
listens
their
with
developing
empathy,
brain
but he
and the
does not
blueprint
take
of their
ownership of her issues. He maintains his own emotional center without getting sucked into her storm. The psychology, the fixer role is a parent-child dynamic, and you cannot be attracted to someone you are parenting. It also makes you responsible for problems that are not yours to solve, leading to resentment and exhaustion. A better way, your role is not to be her therapist, but to be her rock. Show her what stability looks like by being stable. A woman in chaos doesn't need a savior.
The
She needs
silent
a man
pandemic
who is so rooted that she can find her own footing beside him. 5. Never neglect your purpose for her.
And the good
This
enough
is the
parent.
silent killer of masculine
It
attraction.
is challenging to quantify the
You start
prevalence of
dating,
emotional
the
ignorance
chemistry
in
is
childhood
electric,
because
and
it
slowly,
exists on a
your
spectrum.
world begins to shrink to
Few
fit her.
parents are perfectly
The gym
attuned to
sessions
their
get
children
skipped,
100%
your
of the
business
time,
goals stall,
and indeed,
and your friends
they do
see
not
less.
need to be.
Your
The
purpose takes a
psychoanalyst
backseat.
Donald Winnicott coined the
The smart
concept
man's
of the good
approach,
enough mother,
his mission
a
is
parent who is
non-negotiable.
generally responsive and attuned,
A woman
but
is a
who
wonderful
inevitably
addition
fails
to
in
a
small,
life that is
manageable
already full
ways.
and meaningful.
These minor
He
failures
integrates
are,
her into
in
his
fact,
world.
crucial
He does
for
not
development.
rebuild his world
They
around
teach
her.
the child frustration tolerance
The
and the
psychology,
reality that the
a
world
man
does
who
not
abandons
revolve
his
entirely
mission for a
around
woman
them.
signals that his core
The pro-
identity is weak. Women are drawn to a man who is on a path, because his ambition, discipline, and passion are inherently attractive. The paradox: the more dedicated you are to your own
My
purpose,
signal has
the more
meaning.
she will feel compelled to
I
be
can
a part
affect
of it.
my world.
She wants to
I am
join
not
you on your
alone.
adventure, not become
This
the
is the
adventure
foundation
itself.
of agency and
6.
self-efficacy.
Never compete for
Conversely,
her attention.
when a baby's cries
You
are
see her
consistently
talking
met
and
with
laughing with
silence
another
or
man.
indifference, the lesson
Your
is
ego feels
catastrophic.
the sting, and you feel
The baby's
urge to
nervous
jump
system
in,
becomes
to be louder,
flooded with stress
funnier,
hormones
or
like
more
cortisol,
impressive to
as their
win
brain
or
interprets
focus
the
back.
lack of response as a
This is a
life-threatening
trap.
situation.
The smart
If
man's
this happens
approach,
repeatedly,
he remains
the child
unshaken.
learns, my
He
signals are
doesn't see her
meaningless.
attention as a prize to
The
be
world
won
is
in a competition.
unresponsive and unsafe.
He is so secure in his own value that he doesn't need to prove it in the moment. He might even engage the other guy in friendly conversation. The psychology: the moment you try to compete, you broadcast insecurity. You are saying, I see that other man as a threat to my value. A man of true value knows his worth is not diminished by
The
another's
infant's
presence.
reaction is immediate.
The ultimate power move: staying calm,
And
confident,
harrowing.
and engaged in your
The
own
baby
enjoyment
first
is the
attempts
most
to
attractive
re-engage the
response.
mother with smiles and gestures.
The man who doesn't flinch when her
When this
attention
fails,
wanders is
they
the man
become
she
visibly
can't figure
distressed,
out, and the one
fussing
she
and
can't
crying.
stop thinking about.
If the
Still
7
face
continues,
never outsource
the
your
baby
happiness to
eventually
her.
turns away,
This
slumps,
is the foundation
and
of
falls
it all.
into a state of profound
If
despair
your
and
emotional
withdrawal.
state is dictated by her
This
texts,
entire
her
sequence
mood,
often
or her
unfolds in
approval,
less than
you
2
have
minutes.
given her the keys to your inner
The
world.
experiment powerfully
This
illustrates
is a
that
heavy
a child
burden
does
for
not
anyone to carry. The smart man's approach: he builds his happiness from within. His joy comes from his accomplishments, his hobbies, his discipline, and his inner peace. A woman is a wonderful complement to his happiness, not the source of it. The psychology, neediness is the ultimate repellent. The child raised with impossible demand on another person to complete you grows up with a nameless, on the other faceless hand, feeling that something is missing, but they can't quite identify what it is. In your already fulfilling life. They were taught, implicitly, the core question, that emotions are irrelevant, to anyone, and they carry this lesson into adulthood, often struggling to identify, understand, or value their own emotional landscape. If not, no relationship physical will fill absence, that void. Work, divorce, your power and is sibling dynamics. Self-sufficiency. Sometimes, ignorance is literal and emotionally to her tests. A parent may be absent, she might due pull to away, make a sarcastic demanding careers, or a parent who is a workaholic may provide these are often subconscious tests of your frame, your stability, and your emotional control. Reacting with anger, jealousy, or neediness is how you fail. The smart man's approach: he observes, breathes, and maintains his composure. He doesn't take the bait. He might respond with a light-hearted joke, a calm question, or simply a silent, knowing smile. The psychology: these tests aren't about cruelty, they are about her seeking reassurance. She needs to know, is this man's center of gravity within himself, or is it in my hands? Can he handle my emotions without being swept away by them? Demonstrating strength, by staying grounded when she creates waves, you show her that your mountain cannot be moved by her storms. This is the stability that allows a woman to truly feel safe and let her guard down. 9. Never apologize for your standards. You desire a partner who is loyal, kind, emotionally mature, and adds peace to your life. The devastating lesson here is that the child's intrinsic worth is not the standards of a man who values his own peace and purpose. They are loved for their performance, not for their personhood. He holds his standards clearly. This forges a deep-seated belief that they must earn love and connection, leading to a lifetime of perfectionism, with his core values, and anxiety, as they strive to maintain a value that feels perpetually conditional and at risk, but as a simple statement of fact. 4. The inner world of the unseen child, a psychological autopsy. Is a man without a compass. To understand the adult, we must first visit the internal world of the child they once were, or it is a landscape shaped by silence and reflects their own lack of it. Do not dim your light to make others comfortable. The final act when of faced with a threat, if someone consistently fails to meet your non-negotiable standards, you don't get angry and animals engage in survival responses. You simply fight, calmly, flight, walk away, freeze, and fawn. Your peace is sacred. For the ignored child, it is your whose threat is chronic emotional unavailability. Master these 9 principles, response and you will is less common, seeking validation, as fighting would require a sense of agency they do not possess. You will stop chasing and start instead, they tend toward. This is the path to becoming not just the child learns to escape, either literally, staying away from home, getting lost in fantasy, or emotionally, dissociating. These first 9 principles are about recalibrating your actions. The child becomes stuck, shut down. But mastery lies in the subtler layers, spacey, the internal shifts that dictate your external reality. The following 6 rules delve deeper into the psychology of self-worth, communication, and leadership. Integrate these, and the change won't just be in your dating life, it will be in your character. Let's continue. For a young child, the 10. Never confuse attention for value. Absence of a responsive caregiver is interpreted by the brainstem and limbic system as a life-threatening situation. When a baby cries and no one comes, their system is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. If this happens repeatedly, the child's stress response system becomes dysregulated. They can develop the smart man's approach. Hyperarousal. He is selective. The system is stuck in he understands mode, that one leading to a state of constant, connection, low-grade anxiety, hypervalidations from and an exaggerated startle response. He doesn't broadcast the world his life feels perpetually unsafe. He lives it for his own hyperarousal. In some cases, the system eventually burns out and shuts down, leading to the pit. It forces you to perform instead of being authentic. Real value is quiet, self-evident, and doesn't need to announce itself. A man who is truly busy building his empire doesn't have the time or need to be validated by strangers. The shift: stop asking, how studies can I get more attention? Start asking, what kind of life can I build that is so compelling that including emotional neglect can lead to abnormal connectivity within the DMN. Byproduct of a quality life. This provides a potential neurological correlate for the fragmented sense of self, even in small the feelings doses of emptiness, and the dissociation commonly reported by those who were ignored, but by what you tolerate. Their internal self-network is literally wired differently. consistently being
Epigenetics,
late, or flaking on
scar
plans without a sincere apology are all subtle forms of disrespect. Letting them slide is a
the
silent
imposter
agreement.
syndrome epidemic.
The smart man's approach, he addresses
If they
disrespect
really knew
early,
me, they'd
calmly,
leave.
and decisively.
Imposter syndrome,
He doesn't
the
explode
pervasive
with anger,
feeling of
but he
being a
does not
fraud
let
and
it
that one's
pass.
accomplishments are due to
A
luck,
simple,
is
that
rampant
comment
among
felt
adults who were
disrespectful.
ignored.
Let's keep things positive.
This makes
or,
perfect
I value my
sense.
time, so let's
If your
reschedule
core
when you're
belief
sure
is
can
that you are
commit,
fundamentally
sets a clear
unimportant or
boundary.
flawed, then any
The
external
psychology,
success feels
tolerating
unearned and
small
precarious.
disrespect signals that
You
you
live
do
in
not value
constant
yourself
fear of
highly
being
enough
found
to defend
out.
your own peace.
You believe that people
gives
are
a
attracted
green
to
light
your
for the
false self,
behavior to
the
escalate.
competent, charming,
A woman's
capable
respect
persona
for a
you
man is
project,
deeply tied
and that
to
if
her
they were to
perception
see the
of his
needy,
self-respect.
insecure, broken
The
child
action,
underneath,
your
they
boundaries
would
are the
inevitably
gates to your
recoil and
personal
abandon
kingdom.
you.
You are
Chronic
not being
emptiness and
harsh by guarding
alexithymia,
them.
the
You are
inability
being
to
smart.
feel or name emotions.
A person who respects
Many
you will
report a
appreciate the
persistent,
clarity.
haunting feeling
A
of
person
emptiness,
who fights your
a void
boundaries was
inside
never
that
planning
nothing
to
seems to
respect you in
fill.
the first place.
This is the echo of the
12.
unatuned mirror.
Never seek permission to leave.
They also often suffer from
Leadership in a
alexithymia,
relationship
a
isn't about
difficulty in
control.
identifying
It's
and
about
describing
direction,
one's own
vision,
emotions.
and the ability to make
They
decisions
were
with
never taught the
conviction.
language of feelings.
A common
In fact,
mistake is to
they were
defer
taught
every
to ignore
choice.
them.
Where do you want to eat?
So when an emotion arises,
What do you want to do
they
this
experience it as a physical symptom,
Under the guise
a tight
of being
chest,
nice.
a headache, a general
This
sense
isn't
of
courtesy.
badness,
It's
or
a
a
vacuum
compulsive
of
urge
leadership.
to act, e.g.,
The
to
smart
eat,
man's
drink,
approach,
or shop,
he takes
without
the initiative.
understanding the feeling that is
He
driving the
doesn't
behavior.
ask open-ended questions that
The
put the mental
perfectionist
load
trap,
on her.
striving for worth
Instead,
through achievement.
he presents clear,
Perfectionism is not about striving for
excellence
excellence.
at that new
It is a
Italian
defense
place you
mechanism.
mentioned. Or we could keep
It
it
is the
casual
belief
and
that if you
grill
can
at
be
my place.
perfect, flawless in your
Your
work,
call.
your appearance,
This
your
is leading
behavior,
while still
then you will
valuing her
finally be
input.
worthy of love and attention,
The psychology,
and you will be safe from
indecisiveness
criticism
is
or
deeply
abandonment.
unattractive because it shows
It is
a
an
lack of vision
exhausting,
and purpose.
soul-crushing pursuit,
A
as the
woman wants to
goalposts
follow
for
a man to a
perfect
better
are
experience,
always moving.
not drag him through
Any
one.
mistake is not just
Taking
a mistake,
the lead is a
it is
form of
catastrophic
generosity.
evidence of
It
one's
relieves her
inherent
of the burden of
inadequacy.
always having to decide.
People-pleasing and the
The
loss of
balance.
self,
This is
fawning.
not about being a dictator.
The childhood fawn response
It's about
evolves
being the
into
one
a
who
full-blown
steers the
pattern
ship.
of people-pleasing.
Multiply ROI
The
while
adult
getting
has
the
no
most
sense
out
of their
your
own
budget.
boundaries,
But the
Reach
responsibility
all of
They
your
say
customers
plan
on
making
Google
when they meet
with
them
one
well on your
campaign.
shoulders. They
Your
prioritize
essential
others'
inputs
needs
like
and
budget
feelings
and
to
Ad
walking away
Creator
free,
guide
using all
Google's
connections to their
AI-powered
own
solutions
power and
to help you
desires,
reach your
and
goals
any
across
relationship.
search,
Their
YouTube,
identity becomes
Gmail,
a
and
reflection
more.
of what others
Get
want them
started
to be.
with Google
Deep in your
Ads
bones.
today.
This
That you
leads
will
to
be
immense
perfectly
resentment,
fine,
burnout,
thriving,
and a
even
feeling of being
if this
used,
connection
even though
ends.
they are the
You
ones
remove all
voluntarily
desperation
offering
from your
themselves
demeanor.
up. Profound
smart man
difficulty
never come
with
back.
trust and
He enters
intimacy.
every
Time.
interaction from a
At
place
its
of
core,
abundance.
intimacy
and
requires
opportunity.
vulnerability, the
He
willingness to
Therefore,
be
do
seen
not
and
waste
understand,
time.
truly
no
seen
single
Choose
in
person
all
is
one's
the sole key
imperfection.
to his
And do
happiness.
not miss
For the adult
the
who was
This allows
ignored,
him to engage
vulnerability
freely
was the
without
source of
the
their
anxiety
deepest
of
pain.
potential loss.
To
If
be
they
seen
spit
was
it
to be
Psychology,
invalidated.
behind
the
your
fear of
back.
loss is more
Therefore,
powerful
true
than the desire
intimacy
for
feels
gain.
terrifyingly dangerous.
When you are terrified of a
They
woman
may.
leaving, you become
We
We
have two
sabotage
lives,
relationships
and
when
we-
they start to get
and the
too
second
close.
When you are
begins
secure in your
when
ability
Choose
they
to
emotionally
realize
unavailable
you
can be your
partners,
authentic,
recreating the familiar
uncompromising
dynamic
self,
of their
which is
childhood.
inherently more attractive.
The disease of men
The
is
reality
that they
check.
neglect
The
their
goal is
own
not to
fields
use the threat of
and
walking
go
away
to
as a
weed
tool.
the fields of
The
others.
goal is to genuinely embody the mindset that your well-being is not dependent
Before
on her
you
presence.
embark on a journey of revenge,
This is the foundation of true
dig 2
confidence.
graves.
14. Never neglect your physical vessel.
There are 1,000
Your mind
lessons
and body
in
are not
defeat,
separate. They are
but
one
only
integrated
one in
system.
victory.
How you treat your body is the most fundamental expression of
If you are
self-respect.
depressed,
A
you are
soft,
living in
neglected
the past.
body often reflects a
If you are
soft,
anxious,
undisciplined
you are
mind.
living in the future.
The smart man's approach,
If you are at
he
peace,
sees his physical
you
health
are
as
living in the
non-negotiable
present.
maintenance for the vehicle of his soul. Consistent exercise,
The journey
purposeful
of 1,000
nutrition,
miles
and quality sleep are
begins
not
with a
chores.
single
They are
step.
acts of self-love and personal leadership. The
We take
psychology,
greater pains
this
to
isn't about
persuade
achieving a
others
bodybuilder's
that we
physique.
are happy than
It's about
endeavoring
discipline,
to think
energy,
so
and
ourselves.
vitality. A man who is physically capable and
A
energized
healthy
carries himself
man
differently.
wants 1,000 things.
He exudes a primal confidence
sick
that is
man only
unmistakable
wants
and
one.
deeply attractive. The ripple effect, caring
Work
for your
on
body
clearing your
improves your
thoughts.
mental clarity,
If you do not
emotional
have bad
resilience,
thoughts,
and
there
overall
will be
energy.
no bad bad deeds.
It proves to yourself, every single day, that you can overcome
The
discomfort
man
for a
who
greater
says
reward.
he can, and
This
the
discipline
man who
spills
says
over
he
into every
cannot
other area of your life.
are both correct.
15. Never stop your pursuit of mastery.
Learn as if
Complacency
you
is the
constantly
death of
feel you
masculinity.
lack your knowledge.
The man who achieves a
And as
goal
if
and then
you are
rests on his
constantly
laurels
afraid
begins
of
to
losing
decay.
your knowledge.
A high-value man is not a finished product. He is a perpetual
Don't
work in
criticize your
progress,
neighbor's
always
roof
curious,
for
always
a lot
learning,
of snow.
always growing.
When
The
your
smart man's
doors
approach,
aren't clean.
he is a lifelong student. He reads, learns new
If you
skills,
hate,
seeks out
then
mentors,
you have been
and
defeated.
embraces challenges that stretch him. His identity is not in what
It
he
is
has
more
already
shameful
done,
to
but in what he is
distrust
in the
our
process
friends
of becoming.
than to be deceived
The
by them.
psychology, stagnation is boring. Growth is exciting.
Appear weak when you are strong.
A man on a mission of self-improvement
Strong
is dynamic
when you
and
are
magnetic. He has a spark in his eyes because he is engaged in a
He
great
who
adventure,
flatters a man
his own life.
is his enemy.
This makes him an
He
endless
who
source
tells
of
him of his
fascination.
faults
The
is
ultimate
his
truth,
maker.
your journey of mastery is the core of your identity. A woman,
To see
a
what
career,
is right
a
and
lifestyle,
not do it
these are
is
all
the
things you
worst
attract by the person
cowardice.
you become on that journey. Focus not on finding the right
What the
person,
caterpillar
but on
calls
being the
the
right
end,
person, and everything
The
else
rest
will
of the
align.
world calls
Master
a
these
butterfly.
15 principles. Let them sink from conscious thought
The
into
person
unconscious
attempting
action.
to travel two roads
This
at
is how you
once
stop playing
will
the
get
game and
nowhere.
start defining it. This is how you build a life so
He
solid
who
that
is
the right
satisfied
partner
with
isn't
his
someone you
lot
need, but
is
someone you
rich.
proudly choose. Pay close attention,
The noble
because once you
person
hear
uses
these,
things.
you'll start seeing a
The
pattern you
lesser
can't
man
unsee.
is used by things.
You'll recognize it in your own actions and in the reactions you get from others.
A leader leads
This isn't
by
about learning
example.
tricks, it's about
not by
understanding a
force.
fundamental shift in mindset. These are the 9 things
Even
that
the
emotionally
finest
intelligent,
sword plunged
high-value
into
men
salt
never
water
do. And
will
once you
eventually
integrate them,
rust.
you won't just understand women, you'll master the most important
Man's
relationship of
nature
all,
is
the one
evil.
with yourself.
Goodness
And from
is
that
the result
foundation,
of
everything
conscious
else follows.
activity.
So, get focused. What you're
In the
about to
midst
learn
of
has the
chaos,
power to change how you
There
show
is
up in
also
every interaction.
opportunity.
If you internalize this, you'll fundamentally change how
To
you
lead
relate to
people,
others, moving from a
follow
place
them.
of chasing to a place of choosing. Now, before we
When anger
dive in,
rises,
I want to equip you with a
Think
deeper
of the
understanding.
consequences.
I've created a free guide, The Cornerstone Man, a
To know
guide to
your
unshakable
enemy,
confidence and authentic
You
connection.
must become your enemy.
It's not about control, it's about building an authentic presence that draws people
If
in.
you are the smartest
You
person
can grab
in
it
the
for
room,
free using the link in the
then
description
you
or the
are
pinned
in
comment.
the wrong room.
Let's begin. 1. Never over-explain yourself.
Opportunities multiply
There's a vast chasm
as they
between
are
communicating
seized.
clearly and desperately justifying your existence.
Get
If you
rid
find
of the
yourself
desire
composing
to
paragraphs
have.
to explain a delayed text or detailing your reasoning for a simple
The
decision,
funniest
you've
people
already stepped
are
onto
the
shaky
saddest
ground.
ones.
The smart man's approach, he is concise and direct.
When I let go
If a
of what
woman
I am,
asks, why didn't you
I
text back?
become
He
what
doesn't
I
launch
might
into a
be.
novel about his stressful day. He might say, tied
The
up with
man
work,
who moves
or
a
simply,
mountain
I was busy.
begins by
The key isn't
carrying
the words,
away
but the
small
energy behind
stones.
them, calm, assured, and unapologetic about having a life.
Who wishes to
The
fight
psychology,
must first
constant
count
explaining
the
is a
cost.
scent of insecurity. It signals that you need her approval
Soft
to feel
and
validated.
weak wins over hard
The moment
and
she
strong.
senses that, the power dynamic shift. True confidence,
Be extremely
quiet.
subtle,
it
even to
doesn't
the
beg to
point
be
of
understood,
formlessness.
it assumes its own validity.
Be extremely mysterious,
The balance,
even
mystery
to the point
fuels
of
attraction,
soundlessness.
clarity builds trust.
Thereby, you can be the
Over-explaining
director
destroys both.
of the opponent's fate.
State your truth with conviction, then let it stand.
True
If she
words
respects you,
are
she
not
won't
pleasant.
demand a play-by-play.
Pleasant words
If she
are
doesn't,
not
no
true.
amount of explaining will change her mind. 2. Don't chase,
What the ancients
attract.
called a clever fighter
Pursuit is intentional and
is
directed.
one who not only wins,
Chasing is frantic and
but
desperate.
excels in winning
The second
with
you start
ease.
bending over backwards, giving unearned attention, or altering your schedule
Live
just
for
to
the praise
impress,
of others,
you have entered the chase.
and you will become their
And it's
prisoner.
transparent. The smart man's approach, he invests energy
People
where
in
it is
ancient
reciprocated.
times did not like to
He
talk
will
much.
initiate and plan, but
They
he never
consider-
doubles down on indifference. If she's consistently slow to reply or non-committal, he doesn't double text or beg, he simply reallocates his focus back to his own mission. The psychology, people are inherently drawn to what is self-contained. By chasing, you teach her that your attention is cheap and readily available. By leading your own life with purpose, you become a magnet. Your energy becomes the prize. There are the truth, if a woman is genuinely interested, she will show up and meet your effort. 3 things in life that will
Her
never
actions
return.
are your
answer. Time, words,
Your
and
job
opportunity.
is
not to convince her.
Every
but to discern
second
if
wasted
she
is
worth
gone
your time.
forever.
Every word spoken carelessly cannot be unspoken. Every chance ignored may never come again.
Tempting to share your entire
If you
life
are still
story,
waiting for
your
the
childhood
right moment,
wounds,
understand
your
this,
exes, your
the perfect
deepest
moment
fears
is
and
now.
dreams, all in the first
Life
few
does not
weeks.
pause.
This feels
Life
like
does not
intimacy,
wait.
but it's often emotional
And life does
dumping.
not.
The smart man's approach, he understands that true intimacy is a slow, strategic reveal, like turning pages in a compelling book. He lets her earn his story through her consistency, trustworthiness, and curiosity. The psychology, oversharing too soon creates two problems: it removes all mystery, and it can create emotional pressure, turning you from a potential partner into an emotional liability. It places a burden on a connection that hasn't yet been built to bear it. The power of patience: by revealing pieces of yourself gradually, you give her the space to wonder, to inquire, and to lean in. The stories you tell become more valuable because they were earned, not freely given. 4. Never try to fix her. Your instinct to be her hero, to solve her problems and heal her old wounds, is a noble one at its core. But in the context of a romantic dynamic, it is a fatal error. The smart man's approach: he offers a supportive space, not solutions. He listens with empathy, but he does not take ownership of her issues. He maintains his own emotional center without getting sucked into her storm. The psychology: the fixer role is a parent-child dynamic, and you cannot be attracted to someone you are parenting. It also makes you responsible for problems that are not yours to solve, leading to
The
resentment
man
and
who
exhaustion.
says, "I can," and
A
the
better
man
way,
who says,
your role is
"I
not to
cannot,"
be her
are
therapist,
both correct.
but to be her rock.
Belief is the engine
Show
of
her
action.
what stability looks like.
Confidence
by being
creates
stable.
opportunity,
A
while doubt
woman in
destroys
chaos
it.
doesn't need a savior.
Learn
She needs a
constantly,
man who
as
is
though
so
knowledge
rooted
were
that she
slipping
can find
away
her
with
own
every
footing
second.
beside him.
Treat learning
5.
as a sacred
Never
duty.
neglect your purpose for
Ignorance is not simply a
her.
lack
This
of
is the
knowledge,
silent killer
it
of
is a
masculine
choice.
attraction.
Criticizing
You start
others
dating,
without
the
self-reflection
chemistry is electric, and slowly, your world begins to shrink to fit her. The gym sessions
When
get
anger
skipped,
rises,
your business
pause.
goals stall, and your friends see you less.
Consider
Your purpose
consequences.
takes a back seat.
Impulsive
The
action
smart man's
destroys,
approach,
controlled
his mission
action
is
creates.
non-negotiable.
To master
A woman
yourself
is
is
a
greater
wonderful
than to
addition
conquer
a life
others.
that is already full and
To
meaningful.
understand your enemy, you must
He
see the
integrates her
world
into
through
his
their
world.
eyes.
He does not rebuild
Knowledge
his
of
world around
opposition
her.
is not hatred, it
The
is power.
psychology: a man
If
who
you are the
abandons his
smartest
mission
person
for a
in the
woman
room,
signals
leave.
that his core identity is
Growth
weak.
happens when you are challenged.
Women are drawn to a man who
Seek
is on
those
a
who
path
elevate you.
because his ambition,
Opportunities
discipline,
multiply
and passion
when
are
seized.
inherently attractive.
Hesitation
The
diminishes
paradox:
them.
the more dedicated
Act
you are to your
decisively.
own purpose, the more
Letting
she will
go,
feel compelled
patience,
to be a part
and
of it.
persistence.
She wants to join
Detach
you on
from
your
fixed
adventure,
identity.
not become the adventure
Let
itself.
go of what you are, and you will
6.
discover what
Never
you might
compete
become.
for her attention.
Great accomplishments
her
begin with
talking and
small,
laughing with another
consistent
man.
steps.
Your ego
Count the
feels
cost
sting,
before engaging
and
in
you feel the urge
conflict.
to jump in, to be louder,
Strength without
funnier,
strategy
or
invites
more
defeat.
impressive to win her
Even the
focused
strongest
back.
can be overcome by
This
the
is a
prepared
trap.
and subtle.
The smart
Subtlety
man's
and
approach,
formlessness
he
are
remains
weapons.
unshaken.
Be
He
ungraspable.
doesn't see her attention as a prize
Influence
to be won in a
outcomes
competition.
quietly.
He
True
is so
mastery
secure
is
in his own
invisible.
value that he doesn't need to
Truth
prove
is
it in the
not
moment.
always pleasant.
He might even
Pleasant
engage
words
the
are
other
not
guy
always
in friendly
truthful.
conversation.
Speak with
The
honesty,
psychology:
even when
the
it
moment you
hurts.
try to compete,
Excellence
you broadcast
lies not in
insecurity.
winning battles but in winning
You
them
are
with
saying,
ease.
I see that other
Work
man
for
as a threat to my
self-mastery,
value.
not praise.
A man of true
Those who
value
live
knows
for
his worth is
validation
not
are
diminished
slaves
by
to
another's
others'
opinions.
opinions.
The
Self-sufficiency
ultimate power
and
move,
authenticity
staying
are
calm,
true freedom.
confident, and engaged in your own enjoyment is most. The man who doesn't
Time,
flinch when her
work,
attention wanders is the man she can't figure out, and the one she can't stop thinking about.
And opportunity, the
7.
currency of life.
Never outsource your happiness
Time
to her.
is the most precious resource
This is
we
the
possess,
foundation of it
yet
all.
it is fleeting.
If your emotional
Once a
state
moment
is
passes,
dictated by her
it cannot
texts,
be reclaimed.
her mood, or her approval,
A day
you have
wasted
given
cannot
her the
be earned
keys to
back.
your inner
A
world.
conversation mishandled
This
cannot
is a
be
heavy
retracted.
burden for
An
anyone to
opportunity
carry.
ignored may never
The
present
smart
itself
man's
again.
approach: he builds
Consider
his
the
happiness
farmer
from
who
within.
waits too long to sow
His joy
seeds.
comes from his accomplishments,
The season
his
passes,
hobbies,
and the
his
chance for
discipline,
harvest
and his
is
inner
lost.
peace.
Life
a
is
woman
no
is
different.
a wonderful complement to his
Every
happiness,
decision,
not
every
the source of
spoken
it.
word, every
The
choice you make is a
psychology:
seed planted
neediness
into
is
your
the
future.
ultimate repellent.
Plant wisely.
It places an impossible demand on another person to complete you. Wholeness is magnetic.
When you are fully
It
present,
invites someone
you
to
see
share in your already fulfilling
opportunity.
life. You act with clarity.
Before you commit to
You
anyone,
respond to
you
life
must be
instead
able
of
to
reacting
answer
to
yes
illusions.
to this. Am I already
Practice
complete
grounding
and happy
yourself.
on my own?
Notice your surroundings,
If not,
your breathing,
no relationship
your thoughts.
will fill that void.
Anchor yourself
Your
in the now,
power is born
and life
from your
flows rather than
self-sufficiency.
overwhelms.
8.
Small steps,
Never react
great
emotionally
journeys.
to her tests.
Every long
She
journey
might pull
begins
away,
with one
make
step.
a sarcastic comment,
The man
or
who
flirt
dreams
lightly
of
to gauge
conquering
your
mountains
reaction.
must first walk the
These
path
are
beneath
often
his feet.
subconscious tests of your
The
frame,
empire
your
builder
stability,
starts with a
and
single
your
action.
emotional control.
The philosopher
Reacting
begins with a
anger,
single thought.
jealousy, or neediness
Even the
is how you
tallest
fail.
skyscraper began with
The
laying
smart
one
man's
brick.
approach. He observes,
Greatness is a process
breathes,
of
and
accumulation,
maintains his
not
composure.
sudden arrival.
He doesn't
Consistent,
take the bait.
deliberate action
He
turns
might
distant
respond
dreams
with a
into
light-hearted
tangible
joke,
reality.
a calm question, or simply
Authenticity
a silent,
and inner happiness.
knowing smile.
We often
The
live to
psychology.
convince others
These
we are
tests
happy.
aren't about cruelty.
Yet
They are
happiness
about her
born of
seeking
performance is
reassurance.
fragile.
She needs
True
to know,
contentment comes
is
from
this man's
internal
center of
alignment,
gravity
not
within
external
himself,
validation.
or is it in my hands?
A man who seeks
Can he
applause
handle
is
my
a prisoner of
emotions without
opinion.
being swept away by them?
One who cultivates inner peace
Demonstrating
walks
strength
free,
by
regardless
staying
of
grounded when she
circumstance.
creates waves. You
Learn
show
to be
her that your
content.
mountain cannot be moved by her storms. This is the stability that allows a woman to truly feel safe and let her guard down. 9. Never apologize for your standards. You desire a partner who is loyal, kind, emotionally mature, and adds peace to your life. These are not preferences, they are the standards of a man who values his own peace and purpose. The smart man's approach: he holds his standards clearly and calmly. He doesn't demand
The power of
perfection,
belief
but
and
he
learning.
demands alignment with his core
The man
values.
who says,
He communicates what he will
I
and
can,
will not
and
tolerate,
the man who
not as an
says,
ultimatum,
I cannot,
but as a
are
simple
both
statement
correct.
of fact.
belief is the invisible
psychology.
force
A
behind
man
every
without
accomplishment.
standards is a man without a compass.
Confidence empowers action.
People will
Doubt
often
erodes
challenge
effort
your standards,
before it even
calling you
begins.
intimidating.
Learning
or
is not
too
a
picky,
passive act.
usually
It
because
is a
your clarity
lifelong
reflects their
responsibility.
own lack of it.
Learn as if
Do
your
not dim
knowledge
your
is
light to
slipping
make
away
others
with every
comfortable.
second, and act as
The
if
final
missing it
act
could
of
cost you your
self-respect.
future.
If someone consistently
Plato once
fails
said,
to meet your
"The beginning is the
non-negotiable
most
standards,
important part
you
of the
don't get
work."
angry or negotiate.
Knowledge without action
You
is like
simply
planting
and
seeds
calmly
without tending.
walk away. Your peace is sacred, and protecting it is your highest duty. Master these 9 principles, and you will stop seeking validation and start making choices. You will stop chasing and start attracting. This is the path to becoming not just a man who gets the woman, but the man who earns the relationship. You've understood the foundation. These first 9 principles are about recalibrating your actions and reactions.
Human nature
But
is
mastery
flawed.
lies in the subtler layers, the internal shifts that dictate your external reality.
Goodness is not innate. It is the
following
product
6
of conscious
rules delve
effort,
deeper into
discipline,
the psychology
and moral
of
awareness.
self-worth, communication,
Within
and
chaos
leadership.
lies opportunity,
Integrate
but only
these,
those with
and the
vision and
change
courage
won't
can
just be in
seize
your
it.
dating life. It
When
will be in
anger
your
rises,
character.
pause.
Let's continue.
Measure consequences.
10. Never confuse
truly-
attention for value. In the modern world of constant notifications and social media validation, it's easy to believe that a high volume of female attention equates to high value. This is a dangerous illusion. Chasing attention is like eating candy for dinner: it feels good for a moment but leaves you malnourished. The smart man's approach: he is selective. He understands that one meaningful,
The
high-quality
continuum of
connection
thought,
is worth more than
words,
100
and
fleeting
actions.
validations from people who
Your
mean
thoughts
nothing.
are the architects of your
He
destiny.
doesn't broadcast his life to
What
seek
you
likes or
consistently
DMs.
think shapes
He
your
lives
words.
it for his own
Your
fulfillment.
words shape your actions.
The
Your
psychology,
actions build
the
habits.
thirst for
Your
external
habits define
validation is a
character.
bottomless
Your
pit.
character ultimately
It
determines
forces
your life's
you to
trajectory.
perform instead of being authentic.
Consider this carefully.
Real
A mind
value is
clouded with
quiet,
negativity will
self-evident,
produce negative
and doesn't need
deeds.
to announce itself.
A disciplined,
A man
focused,
who is
and
truly
purposeful
busy
mind
building
will
his
generate
empire
actions
doesn't have the
aligned with
time or
growth,
need to be
success.
validated by strangers. The shift: stop asking, "How can I get more attention?" Start asking,
Patience.
"What kind of life can I build that is so compelling that the right people are naturally drawn to it?" Quality attention
Nature
is a
and moral
byproduct of a
conduct.
quality life.
Nature does not
11.
hurry,
Never
yet everything
tolerate
is
disrespect,
accomplished.
even in small doses.
Time and rhythm govern all processes,
You teach people how
from
to
the
treat
growth
you
of
not by your
mountains to the
words,
blooming
but
of
by
flowers.
what you tolerate.
Human
A
impatience
sarcastic
disrupts
jab
progress.
disguised as a
Discipline
joke,
aligns with
consistently
natural
being
laws.
late, or flaking on
Act
plans
toward
without a
others as you would
sincere
have them
apology
act
are
toward
all
you.
subtle forms of disrespect.
Justice, fairness,
Letting
and
them
empathy
slide
are not
is a
merely
silent
moral
agreement.
ideals, they are
The
practical
smart man's
strategies for
approach:
long-term
he
harmony
addresses
and influence.
disrespect early, calmly,
The wheels of
and
justice
decisively.
grind slowly, but they
He doesn't
grind fine.
explode with anger, but he
Life
does not let
balances
it pass.
itself.
Patience ensures that the just prevail over time.
Disrespectful. Let's
The
keep
wisdom
things
of
positive.
reflection.
Or, I value my time.
Study the
So
past
let's
to define the
reschedule when you're
future.
sure you can commit.
Ignorance
Sets a
of
clear
history
boundary.
leads to repeated mistakes.
The psychology.
Awareness of precedent
Tolerating
empowers
small
strategic
disrespect
foresight.
signals that you do not value
Life's
yourself
patterns
highly
repeat,
enough to
and
defend
those
your
who
own
recognize
peace.
them gain control
It
over
gives
outcomes.
a green light for the behavior to
It is
escalate.
easy to love friends.
A
It is
woman's
difficult
respect
but
for
essential
a man
to
is deeply tied to her perception of his self-respect. The action, your boundaries are the gates to your personal kingdom. You are not being harsh by guarding them, you are being smart. A person who respects you will appreciate the clarity. A person who fights your boundaries was never planning to respect you in the first place. 12. Never seek permission to lead. Leadership in a relationship isn't about control, it's about direction, vision, and the ability to make decisions with conviction. A common mistake is to defer every choice. Where do you want to eat? What do you want to do this weekend? Under the guise of being nice. This isn't courtesy, it's a vacuum of leadership. The smart man's approach, he takes the initiative. He doesn't ask open-ended questions that put the mental load on her. Instead, he presents clear, thoughtful options. I've made reservations at that new Italian place you mentioned, or we could keep it casual and grill at my place. Your call. This is leading while still valuing her input. The psychology, indecisiveness is deeply unattractive because it shows a lack of vision and purpose. A woman wants to follow a man to a better experience, not drag him through one. Taking the lead is a form of generosity, it relieves her of the burden of always having to decide. The balance, this is not about being a dictator. It's about being the one who steers the ship. You can, and should, consider her preferences, but the responsibility for having a plan and making things happen rests on your shoulders. 13. Never fear walking away. Your greatest source of power in any negotiation, and any relationship, is your willingness to walk away. If you know, deep in your bones, that you will be perfectly fine, thriving, even if this connection ends, you remove all desperation from your demeanor. The smart man's approach, he enters every interaction from a place of abundance, not scarcity. He knows his value and understands that no single person is the sole key to his happiness. This allows him to engage freely, without the anxiety of potential loss. The psychology, the fear of loss is more powerful than the desire for gain. When you are terrified of a woman leaving, you become clingy, agreeable, and weak. When you are secure in your ability to walk away, you can be your authentic, uncompromising self, which is inherently more attractive. The reality check, the goal is not to use the threat of walking away as a tool. The goal is to genuinely embody the mindset that your well-being is not dependent on her presence. This is the foundation of true confidence. 14. Never neglect your physical vessel. Your mind and body are not separate, they are one integrated system. How you treat your body is the most fundamental expression of self-respect. A soft, neglected body often reflects a soft, undisciplined mind. The smart man's approach, he sees his physical health as non-negotiable maintenance for the vehicle of his soul. Consistent exercise, purposeful nutrition, and quality sleep are not chores, they are acts of self-love and personal leadership. The psychology, this isn't about achieving a bodybuilder's physique. It's about discipline, energy, and vitality. A man who is physically capable and energized carries himself differently. He exudes a primal confidence that is unmistakable and deeply attractive. The ripple effect, caring for your body improves your mental clarity, emotional resilience, and overall energy. It proves to yourself, every single day, that you can overcome discomfort for a greater reward. This discipline spills over into every other area of your life. 15. Never stop your pursuit of mastery. Complacency is the death of masculinity. The man who achieves a goal and then rests on his laurels begins to decay. A high-value man is not a finished product, he is a perpetual work in progress, always curious, always learning, always growing. The smart man's approach, he is a lifelong student. He reads, learns new skills, seeks out mentors, and embraces challenges that stretch him.
His identity is not in what he has already done, but in what he is in the process of becoming. The psychology: stagnation is boring. Growth is exciting. A man on a mission of self-improvement is dynamic and magnetic. He has a spark in his eyes because he is engaged in a great adventure, his own life. This makes him an endless source of fascination. The ultimate truth: your journey of mastery is the core of your identity. A woman, a career, a lifestyle, these are all things you attract by the person you become on that journey. Focus not on finding the right person, but on being the right person, and everything else will align. Master these 15 principles. Let them sink from conscious thought into unconscious action. This is how you stop playing the game and start defining it. This is how you build a life so solid that the right partner isn't someone you need, but someone you proudly choose. Pay close attention, because once you hear these, you'll start seeing a pattern you can't unsee. You'll recognize it in your own actions and in the reactions you get from others. This isn't about learning tricks, it's about understanding a fundamental shift in mindset. These are the 9 things that emotionally intelligent, high-value men never do. And once you integrate them, you won't just understand women, you'll master the most important relationship of all, the one with yourself. And from that foundation, everything else follows. What you're about to learn has the power to change how you show. If you internalize this, you'll fundamentally change how you relate to others, moving from a place of chasing to a place of choosing. Now, before we dive in, I want to equip you with a deeper understanding. I've created a free guide, The Cornerstone Man, a guide to unshakable confidence and authentic connection. It's an authentic presence that draws people in. You can grab it for free using the link in the description or the pinned comment. Let's begin. 1. Never over-explain yourself. There's a vast chasm between communicating clearly and desperately justifying your existence. If you find yourself composing paragraphs to explain a delayed text, or detailing your reasoning for a simple decision, you've already stepped onto shaky ground. The smart man's approach: he is concise and direct. If a woman asks, "Why didn't you text back?" he doesn't launch into a novel about his stressful day. He might say, "Tied up with work," or simply, "I was busy." The key isn't the words, but the energy behind them: calm, assured, and unapologetic about having a life. The psychology: constant explaining is a scent of insecurity. It signals that you need her approval to feel validated. The moment she senses that, the power dynamic shifts. True confidence is quiet. It doesn't beg to be understood, it assumes its own validity. The balance: mystery fuels attraction, clarity builds trust. Over-explaining destroys both. State your truth with conviction, then let it stand. If she respects you, she won't demand a play-by-play. If she doesn't, no amount of explaining will change her mind. 2. Don't chase, attract. Pursuit is intentional and directed. Chasing is frantic and desperate. The second you start bending over backwards, giving unearned attention, or altering your schedule just to impress, you have entered the chase. And it's transparent. The smart man's approach: he invests energy where it is reciprocated. He will initiate and plan, but he never doubles down on indifference. If she's consistently slow to reply or non-committal, he doesn't double text or beg, he simply reallocates his focus back to his own mission. The psychology: people are inherently drawn to what is self-contained. By chasing, you teach her that your attention is cheap and readily available. By leading your own life with purpose, you become a magnet. Your energy becomes the prize. The truth: if a woman is genuinely interested, she will show up and meet your effort. Her actions are your answer. Your job is not to convince her, but to discern if she is worth your time. 3. Never prematurely reveal your depths. In the rush of a new connection, it's tempting to share your entire life story, your childhood wounds, your exes, your deepest fears and dreams, all in the first few weeks. This feels like intimacy, but it's often a smart man's approach. He understands that true intimacy is a slow, strategic reveal, like turning pages in a compelling book.
He lets her earn his story through her consistency, trustworthiness, and curiosity. The psychology: oversharing too soon creates two problems. It removes all mystery, and it can create emotional pressure, turning you from a potential partner into an emotional liability. It places a burden on a connection that hasn't yet been built to bear it. The power of
No one
patience.
is your friend.
By revealing
Friends are
pieces of
snakes.
yourself gradually,
One,
you give her
the
the
illusion
space
of
to
friendship,
wonder, to inquire,
They
and
say,
to lean in.
keep your friends close.
The stories
but
you
few
tell
ever
become
ask,
more
how
valuable
close
because they
before
were
they
earned,
bite.
not freely given. 4. Never
No
try
one
to
is your
fix
friend.
her.
Friends are snakes.
Your instinct to be her one at its core. But in the context of a romantic dynamic, it is a fatal error. The smart man's approach: he offers a supportive space, not solutions. He listens with empathy, but he does not take ownership of her issues. He maintains his own emotional center without getting sucked into her storm. The psychology: the fixer role is a parent-child dynamic, and you cannot be attracted to someone you are parenting. It also makes you responsible for problems that are not yours to solve, leading to resentment and exhaustion. A better way: your role is not to be her therapist, but to be her rock. By being stable. A woman in chaos doesn't need a savior, she needs a man who is so... But when you start to outgrow them, their tone changes. They laugh less, congratulate you less, and begin comparing instead of supporting. The truth is simple: most friends don't want you to fail, they just don't want you to surpass them. In the jungle of human relationships, survival instincts never vanish, they merely disguise themselves as friendship. What men call friendship, Machiavelli would call a temporary alliance of mutual benefit. It lasts only as long as both parties find use in it. When your growth threatens their comfort, the mask begins to slip. Realize this: when you remove the illusion, you stop expecting loyalty from snakes. 2. The mask of jealousy. Jealousy is not loud. It doesn't always show itself through insults or arguments. Often, it hides behind smiles, subtle jokes, or silent withdrawals. A jealous friend doesn't attack you directly, they poison you slowly through indifference, gossip, or hidden sabotage. They may praise you in public but criticize you in private. They may call you lucky instead of recognizing your effort, or subtly discourage your dreams under the guise of concern. Are you sure you can handle that? You're changing, bro. Don't forget where you came from. Those phrases sound harmless, but they are the whispers of insecurity. Jealousy operates in shadows because it fears exposure. When someone envies you, they secretly compare their reflection to yours, and hate the difference. The more you evolve, the more your existence reminds them of their stagnation. This is why even good men, even childhood friends, can turn cold. You are no longer a mirror of who they are, you become a reflection of what they failed to become. That's when the mask slips. That's when the smile becomes venom. The wise man doesn't hate the jealous, he understands them. He sees their envy as confirmation that he's walking the right path. Because no one envies mediocrity. 3. Why friends secretly compete with you. In the modern world, competition hides in conversations. When you talk about your goals, your friends listen, not always to support you, but to measure themselves against you. The male ego is a fragile structure. It thrives on hierarchy, the invisible order that kept everyone comfortable. And in that moment, friendship turns into rivalry. Notice how suddenly everyone becomes an expert on your life decisions. Notice how your successes are minimized, but your mistakes are magnified. Notice how your